So let's kick off and welcome to today's session. I'm Michael Conway of Renaissance. I'm delighted to welcome you today we're going to talk about standardizing M365 security. And as you can read there, how to deliver Microsoft managed security services at probably a very interesting tenth of the cost and effort. And I think that's probably the bit that will make everybody very interested. Excuse me. I'm delighted to be to have on this session with me Gavin Corbett, who's co-founder and chairman for Augment, and George Smith from Augment. You will notice from their accents they're from different parts of the world. And Gavin and George are coming to us from Canada at the moment. All attendees are muted for the session. Attendees will have the opportunity to ask questions at the end and during Q&A, and it's really important from our point of view because we distribute Augment into Ireland and we want to bring the value proposition to you and make sure that you get out of this session what's relevant to you and the benefits for you, because we appreciate your time. The session is being recorded. There are a number of people unable to attend who wished to attend the session, and also it'll make it available then to you to share with any of your colleagues should you find it interesting and an area that you believe is important and an opportunity for your business. Please enter any questions into the chat session and send them directly to myself, and then we'll take the questions at the end. But as I say, please make this interactive. If there's areas that you feel you'd like explored or areas or questions that you may have, make sure you get them out there. And without further ado, what I'm going to do is pass you on to the Augment team, and let's kick off with the session. Thank you.
Michael, thanks very much for having us here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to be with us. We're going to try to be efficient and see if we can't deliver this information to you in a very timely manner. Just as a bit of background on myself, as Michael said, I'm co-founder and chairman of Augment. I was also co-founder and former CEO of Enable. So we founded the first multi-tenant remote monitoring and management platform for the channel back in 2000. And the whole idea was to help the channel go from reactive to proactive to managed services. Augment is really the 2.0, if you will, of Enable, but for Microsoft security policy posture management. So this is what we're talking about, is basically an RMM for you to proactively audit, configure, set up your monitoring, your remediation, and your reporting services for your customers, and to help standardize and automate how you manage Microsoft today. So I'll talk a little bit about that, and then George will actually take us through a tour of the product to show you how it actually applies to your business. So that's much more interesting than the stuff I'm going to talk about. So as mentioned, this is all about helping you standardize and automate how you manage Microsoft from a security and from an administration and management today. So really taking that manual labor out of your tech's hands, from having to go from tenant to tenant to tenant to tenant to check and do and all that kind of thing. And the result of standardizing and automating those services is you're going to save a ton of money because your techs are just going to be so much more effective, and you'll be able to use them to do really important security work for your customers and not have to do the mundane checks in the Microsoft portal. And the reporting aspect, the auditing and the reporting aspect, is going to help you sell hardening projects to your partners, to your customers, and premium security services. So this is all about helping you reduce your costs and increase your revenues. We have over 15,000 MSPs, MSSPs, SOCs, and SMEs secured on the platform. We are SOC 2 Type 2 certified. We are GDPR compliant from a data perspective. And we have just our European data center in Frankfurt, Germany has just gone live, and it will be commercially available next week. So everything will be hosted in the European market. So if you think about how you manage Microsoft today, you probably do it manually, and you probably go from tenant to tenant to tenant to configure and to check if there's threats and to run reports. And we all know that's incredibly time consuming. But if your tech is managing one tenant, that's fine. If they're managing 4 or 5, that's probably cool. You can do that. You're not going to be proactive. You're still being in a reactive mode on checking and finding things, but it's kind of manageable. The problem is if you're managing 30, 50, 100 or more tenants, it's impossible, right? Unless you have an army of technicians that spend their days going tenant to tenant to tenant to tenant to check and make sure everything's okay and do all that sort of stuff. It's just so hard. And the way you manage and administer your customers is incredibly difficult and manual. So that is just very difficult for most MSPs, and MSPs want a solution in order to really streamline how they deliver managed security services and Microsoft security services. And I always find it quite fascinating. As I mentioned earlier, I've been selling platforms to help MSPs manage and optimize their service practice for 24 years now, and to tens of thousands of MSPs around the world. And the idea that if we can help you increase your productivity and your profitability by leveraging technology, because we all know managed service providers is about optimizing the technology stack for their customers. And this is about optimizing your technology stack so you can deliver better services and more profitable services to your customers. So today, if you're managing Microsoft in a reactive mode, you know it's manual. It's time consuming for your techs. Your techs don't like doing that tenant by tenant by tenant checking. So basically they don't do it. And clients have poor security scores. Like if you go in and you check on your customers' security scores, you'll most probably be a little horrified, and you hope that they don't go in and check and see their security scores. There's no automation. The portal is always changing in Microsoft. So how you did things, least privilege access is not a thing. Everybody's got rights to everything, and difficult. The reports are just a bear in difficulty to go and do. So the whole idea is if you're doing a managed Microsoft security service, you're leveraging a technology, an RMM for Microsoft security. You're auto-configuring the client's policies. So click of a button rather than spending hours or days. You're proactively in real time monitoring and managing that environment for any drift or threats. You help the customer dramatically improve their security score, which George is going to show you all of this in a moment. And you're going to automate the tasks to free up the techs, and you're going to grow and scale your practice. So if people would like to be in the managed column, that's great. I think we're in the right spot, and we want to help you do that. So one question that I think is fascinating, I did a poll about 2 weeks ago, and 344 MSPs responded to it. And the question was, do SMBs assume their MSP keeps Microsoft secure? And I'll make it even a little more personal. Do your customers who you sell Microsoft to, do they just assume that you're keeping Microsoft secure for them? So 92% of the respondents said, yes, my customers think that they are being kept secure. So, you know, that's an interesting question to ask in your environment is, are you leveraging the technologies to do this? So when you think of your M365 security maturity, if you were to score yourself and give yourself a point for each one of these boxes, you know, are you reactive or are you managed? So do you do M365 security audits for your customers to see where there's a problem And do you deliver monthly or quarterly reporting to show them exactly all the things that you've done to protect them? Do you do this manually? Do you do it at all in a reactive model? Or in a managed, it's standardized and it's automated. It's scheduled, it just happens. For Microsoft policies, security policies and postures, from a configuration perspective, do you do this manually? Does it, as techs do it from one customer to the next? Is it standardized? Do you want to have a system so that you can standardize and automate this? Again, one click, the best practice policies applied to the customer. And you can set up good, better, best type programs. If your customer is a healthcare organization or financial services, or maybe they're construction, they may need different templates. And then once you've hardened the environment, do you have real-time alerting and coming to your PSA system? And are you able to remediate with a click of a button? So this is all about dramatically improving, standardizing, and automating that the view of the customer, understanding where they are, configuring them properly, monitoring and alerting real time for any drift or change, and then being able to do threat remediation based on those alerts coming in. And then from an administration perspective, just onboarding employees, offboarding, changing groups, doing password management, all that kind of stuff. Do you have a central view across all of your customers, multi-tenant solution to be able to go in and just manage everybody in a secure fashion, not having to go tenant by tenant by tenant by tenant, and having that overall visibility across everybody from a reporting, from a dashboarding, and from a notification and alerting perspective. So the point is that in a reactive model, what we found is that an MSP's technician can manage about 150 Microsoft users. In a managed model, our partners are managed between 600 and 1,000 users. And our whole vision at Augment is to advance configuration, policy, posture, management, and automation so that we can get to up to 2,000, maybe one day 10,000 users per MSP. And that's what drives the productivity, the profitability, and the much stronger security for your customers. So think about that in your business model. And what we want to do to help you, and again, George will show you this in a second, but we have one of our modules is a Microsoft Security Audit and Threat Reporting module. And we want to give this to you for free, unlimited, so that you can go to all of your customers and all of your prospects, and you can run reports. And you can show them. So basically what happens, you become a partner. We auto import all of your customers, whether they're managed or non-managed. If they're on Microsoft, if you sold them Microsoft licenses, we'll import them, and we'll import the security data, and you can automatically go to them and provide them with a report to show them their security scores, MFA, on where the threats are coming from, who they're happening against, all that kind of stuff, so that they can easily see why they need to have either a hardening project done or they need to adopt your premium security service program. So this is an incredibly easy way to go and deliver better security, but to not sell your customer, but just show them exactly why they need your premium security service program. And then you can go in again at a click of a button, you can configure their environments and help them understand exactly why they're getting the benefit, and then set up the monitoring and report and remediation and reporting service. So this is about audit, detect, and protect the customer's environment. So when you're talking to the customer now, we've given you this tool for free to go and audit your customers, and you can show them where they have the problems. You can upsell them your premium security services or hardening projects, and you just have to communicate to the customer, here's what you pay for Microsoft. It's going to cost you an additional either 10 euros per month per user or $10. I know we have some American people in also, and Canadian and Norwegian and Irish and English. We have a multinational group here. So the point is, you go in, you can sell this either as an add-on as a premium Microsoft security service. You can sell it as part of your premium security package and possibly increase the price of your premium security package with this additional service, or you can sell it as a hardening project. And our partners normally charge $3,000 per tenant to go and do that hardening project, and then they sell the monitoring and remediation and reporting service on top of that afterwards. So lots of ways of attacking this, and we have all of the sales and marketing material to help you do that. So I would like George to jump in now, if that's all right with everyone, and actually walk us through the product and show us how the product can help your business and how MSPs and MSSPs around the world are leveraging Augment.
Thanks, Gavin. Good afternoon, everyone. I will, be happy to take you guys through a quick spin of Augment. So, as Gavin mentioned, Augment is the platform. It's broken into 3 key modules: Secure, Engage, and Discover. And Secure is our main module that focuses on that M365 best practices, hardening that environment. And it's broken into a number of different dashboards and reports. The first thing I'm going to show you is this threat report that Gavin was talking about, that regardless of if you're an Augment partner or not, once you've completed your free trial with us, you can have unlimited access to this report. So it's fully multi-tenant. So again, you can pick your tenant. We're going to pick on our healthcare client here. And what this report is doing is it's pulling in all of the risky metrics and information associated with this particular customer. Now we can also export this as a PDF, and we can even schedule this to go out on a regular basis, whether it's monthly, quarterly, to that particular customer. Our date filter allows us to generate this report with data going back as far as 3 months to just get some more robust information. And what this allows you to do is, with existing customers or even with prospects using a magic link, it begins to allow you to tell a story around risk, kind of going through and simply highlighting, Mr. Customer, there's almost 200 risky things that are happening in this environment. This trend line is going up over time because cybercrime is at an all-time high, and we're not currently being proactive with your cybersecurity. You're a dentist or a manufacturer in Ireland or the Netherlands or wherever, so we're not really sure why we're seeing risky activity coming from India or from Canada or from Australia. Your Microsoft identity score is only 30%. Your secure score is even worse, according to Microsoft. And here's some of the types of detections that we're actually able to see, whether it's things like impossible travel or leaked credentials. And here's the top accounts that you have at risk. And it's always interesting because there's always going to be some C-level executives in here. And if they're in that particular meeting, you can, identify them personally and say, Bradley, you're the CEO of this company. And there you are right at the top of the list. Were you aware that you're being actively targeted by bad actors who are trying to hack into your corporate environment? With regards to that 200 kind of items that we're seeing, we can actually go into granular detail, and we can show you the who, what, where, when of each of those incidents. We can filter this report by user or by risk detection location if you want to get into the nitty-gritty stuff. However, at this stage, clients sometimes often don't want to do that, but it is critical to point out maybe some key pillars of security best practices, MFA being one of those. So, Mr. Customer, why are there 6 people in your organization that do not have MFA on? We know that 99% of breaches that occur within Microsoft could be prevented if MFA was enabled. So that's definitely something we want to take care of for you. And then below here, we have 6 inactive accounts. Were you aware that these current employees are sitting as inactive in M365? What's the story here? Are these people that have left the company and haven't been offboarded successfully? Or are these people that maybe aren't doing their job as well as you think they might be due to kind of the inactivity that we're seeing? Either way, Mr. Customer, how do you want me to handle the risk I've uncovered for you today? So a really nice, elegant report that you can white label and share with customers and prospects. Now, once you've had that conversation, you can then move over to our security posture report, which is where we begin to sort of have that Venn diagram of the customer conversation, but also giving our techs the foresight into what they need to be doing, almost like a roadmap for hardening the environment. Now, once again, we're fully multi-tenant, so you can come to your all companies view and at a glance kind of scroll down through your tenants and see who needs help. Now in this demo environment, everyone needs a lot of help. So we're going to pick on someone different this time. We'll head into our legal customer over here. And now we're at the tenant level and we are at the audit tab here. And scrolling down, we've got a nice table here that's showing us all of the different Microsoft checks that should be enabled and configured. Again, this is something that I would personally share with my clients if I was an MSP, because it begins to really help identify just the level of work that needs to go into hardening the M365 environment. So there's the security checks. There's the status. Is it compliant? Is it fully configured? Is it not compliant and not on at all? Is it only half baked? The license type needed with that particular check, which is a critical piece to understand. We hear from MSPs all the time that they're trying to standardize on business premium licenses. Those come with all the extra security bells and whistles like Microsoft Defender, but at the client level, they just hear the word premium. And so they kind of are curious as to why they want to buy a premium license when they don't feel they need it. This report is excellent at simply showing that with a business premium license, it's not about trying to make their PowerPoint or Excel programs better. It's about unlocking additional security features and settings that you, the MSP, want to leverage to make them more secure. And without it, you simply just can't measure. You don't have any access or insight into that whatsoever. So again, using this report, you're able to highlight what can and can't be done without a business premium license and use it to upsell and standardize across business premium through all your tenants. The other columns, we've got the rationale. So this is actually taken directly from Microsoft themselves. So again, as an MSP, you can say, look, this is what Microsoft says needs to happen. This isn't me telling you what to do. This is actually coming directly from Microsoft. And then the two columns here are nice to see as well with our compliance column. So if you're someone who's currently mapping to the CIS framework or following NIST protocols, each of these checks corresponds to one of the specific line items or rows within those compliance frameworks. So you can begin to tick those boxes as you seek to be compliant yourself. And the last thing then is just the secure score impact. So if someone does have a particularly low score around that 15 or 20%, you can say, Mr. Customer, by even just turning on these first 4 checks, we can bump your security score by around 20%. Okay, you're going to see those visible changes. So once you've had that conversation around risk, you obviously, as the MSP, want to begin implementing and configuring the environment. And prior to a platform like Augment existing, as Gavin said, this is a very manual, cumbersome process. Check by check by check, tenant by tenant by tenant. Techs hate their lives when they do it, and then Microsoft changes things all the time. So you kind of consistently have to go back and make sure things are in place. With Augment Autopilot, that is the core piece of the webinar today. It's around creating massive efficiency gains within your MSP so that you're able to run M365 security services at 1/10 of the cost and 1/10 of the effort. And we do that with our security baselining. So one example here is our quick baseline. This here with a simple click of a button gives you sort of the low-hanging fruit, the best practices that are really non-negotiable and that no one's going to argue with, things like turning on auditing or actually disallowing infected file downloads. So no one's going to have any problems with that. Click of a button, done. The more robust piece of Augment Autopilot is our full posture templates. And you can see here we have a number of different ones that MSPs can leverage, and MSP partners can also edit these and create their own. But all this is simply doing is actually going through some of the core configurations that need to be in place. And then you simply roll these out with the click of a button, and that will configure them automatically. So again, that's where the efficiencies come in, that instead of doing things manually tenant by tenant, you're able to harden the M365 security environment now with the click of a button using the best practices templates that Augment is set up. Moving on to just some other quick reports. One of the things, once you've actually hardened this environment, all you MSPs will know, security is not a product. It's a practice. It's a discipline. And so once you've actually set up this environment, you want to be able to monitor and alert on any changes to that environment. So things like policy drift or deprecation, as well as any live threats. And that's where our alerts come in. So again, you've got the high level view of all companies. Let's drill into someone different this time. We'll pick on our legal client. And now we're looking at some of the alerts that can be generated. So again, we've got a date filter here. We can go back as far as 3 months. The critical thing to understand about the Augment alerts is that we're actually sitting on top of the extremely powerful alerting engine that Microsoft already has. And what we're doing is giving MSPs the ability to go through all of these alerts and filter and categorize the ones that they want to see. So instead of getting this tsunami of noise that comes through from this update was done, this patch was deployed, this thing happened, you can actually cherry pick the most important critical alerts that you want to see and hear about. We have full integrations with all the major PSAs, so you can create and activate tickets to come straight through to that PSA. So you can see here, these are the ones that I want turned on. I'm also able to create alert thresholds. So it's not just if this alert happens, create a ticket. It's if this alert happens, but if it's of a medium or high threshold, create a ticket. So again, all around just focusing in on the things that you want to see. Now, once a bad thing happens, once an alert is generated, you obviously want to jump on that and fix the problem immediately. And again, Augment helps tick that box by allowing you to lock down accounts from within the system. And with our latest feature release, autopilot alerts, you'll actually be able to auto remediate this as well. So coming down, I'm now in the alerts tab. We can generate things by alert details, accounts, whatever we need. And for example, here's an example here. There's been a successful sign-in outside of an operating country. That's a really high risk with Randy's account. I'm simply going to click Randy here, and now I have the ability to lock down his account with the click of a button. So I've got all those details, and I can do things like reset a password, block sign-in, or sign him out of everything. And reset a password, as with all of our Engage actions, have all the best practices baked in and allow you to do things like send that password to yourself at the MSP or even directly to someone else at that particular tenant. Now, this is part of our Engage functionality, which I'll hop into quickly. This is another module within Augment that's, again, all around driving that efficiency. So creating those massive efficiency gains by allowing you to resolve the vast majority of tickets that come in for the M365 environment with the click of a button. So again, if we have another ticket come in, we can now do all of these actions with one click. Everything from blocking sign-in, MFA on or off, signing them out of everything, managing what distribution lists or groups they're part of, changing what license they have, upgrading, downgrading, whatever they need, or even doing things like offboarding or removing a user. Again, where all the best practices are baked in terms of security protocols, but also with a click of a box, being able to do things like create a shared mailbox, as well as forwarding rules for that shared mailbox to whatever employee needs it. Click next and review. And so with this in mind with Augment, you know, as an MSP owner or L3 technician can begin to offload these tasks to more junior or non-technical staff. You can have interns, office administrators, even salespeople or folks in HR begin to resolve tickets that come in if they just have access to Augment. Now, jumping back into Secure quickly, a couple of other reports I just wanted to highlight. Our MFA report, again, fully multi-tenant. So at a glance, you can see the MFA status of each of your Microsoft clients at a glance. Again, you can drill in, see all the employees, their license type, their role, the configuration status, whether it's on or off, are they protected, yes or no, and how MFA is being enabled. Is it through Azure per user? Is it through a conditional access policy? Or is it through a third party like Duo or something similar? And ultimately, you can begin to export these as a PDF, CSV, or even schedule these to go out to you or the client on a regular basis. So again, creating a paper trail of your compliance to say, yes, I'm a good MSP. These people did have MFA on at this particular date and time, should you ever need to prove that in a future audit. Gavin, was there anything else you want me to cover before I just hop into the license report?
No, George, I think this is great.
Great. So the last report I just want to show you guys is the summary report. Really, really important that you as an MSP show the value that you're providing on a consistent basis. I'm sure you guys have had that question before. What am I paying you for? Everything's fine. Or what am I paying you for? Everything's broken. Well, with the summary report, this is kind of the opposite to the threat report. It's beginning to pull in the all the stats around the changes you're making and improvements that you're enabling. So again, fully multi-tenant. We can go to our healthcare client here. And you can start highlighting things like, look, I've prevented all these incidents. I'm increasing your secure score. We've got MFA up to 100%. You know, I've intercepted 34 risky sign-ins. I'm blocking these different users and countries. This is exactly what you're paying me for, Mr. Customer. And again, we can go into the who, what, where, when of that if you want to get into detail. The other cool thing I want to show you guys is just the scheduled reports tabs. So these are all the different reports that you can schedule to go out, or even pull this information via our latest API if you want to incorporate that data with other statistics that you leverage in another reporting tool like a Power BI or something similar. And again, you can set the frequency, where that email, enter the email that you want to send it to, and we've got everything here from that MFA report to the threat report, the summary report, whatever you'd like. The last thing I'll show is a feature we released at the end of last year based on the feedback that we received from our customers. So another thing Augment does really well is we listen to the people that we're working with. We listen to our MSP partners. And one of the main feature requests that we had at the end of last year was for a license report. So again, the idea that Microsoft is not multi-tenant, licensing can be confusing and a little bit messy. And so wouldn't it be nice if there was a nice clean report for MSPs to use that showed you all of the licenses that you have, how those are spread out across your different tenants, and how those may have changed month to month in terms of people upgrading, downgrading, buying more, because as you guys know, with Microsoft changing the rules recently, you now have to buy those licenses upfront on an annual commit. So again, instead of having an office administrator or manager or CFO bug your technicians to go and manually pull this information, you can give them access to Augment and show them all, and they can go and pull those stats themselves. So with that in mind, I will pass back to Gavin. He's going to wrap up a bit.
George, I think we have a couple more minutes. Would you mind just showing Discover while we're...
So another module we have here is Discover. This is a module that essentially allows you to conduct SaaS application audits. It's shedding a light on shadow IT and provides you with a full inventory of all the applications that your clients are using. So again, it's fully multi-tenant, so you can have an all companies view, or you can drill into a specific client. If you're a large MSP, the all companies view is actually very, very interesting to scroll down and see all the different applications. You can go over to days active here, which is going to sort the applications by most popular. Now you've got a list of across your entire IT estate. These are the top applications that are being used across our clients. Is there an opportunity for you guys to upsell or enhance some of the services you're offering? You can see there in this example, Slack is the #1 application. If I was an MSP in this scenario, I'd be wondering, can we offer Slack backup services? Or is there an opportunity for us to offer something there, knowing that our clients are using that application? The other thing this data set does is it gives you the ability as the MSP to cement your position as the IT expert. So I'm sure all have those conversations. Oh, I can't afford this. Oh, I don't know if security is a big deal. Well, in here you have kind of the cold hard stats. So if we go into, say, a marketing client, we can begin as part of our audit to ask questions like, should anyone be using Dropbox? Oh, no, George, no one uses Dropbox at our company. We have a very strict policy that says that's not okay. Oh, that's interesting, Mr. Customer, because I've got a report here that I can show you that says there's at least 2 people using Dropbox on a fairly regular basis as well. And one of them, Candice, is actually using the desktop version of that particular application. That is to say, it's actually installed on her work computer. So what's the story there? Is she got a second job? Is she stealing corporate files? Certainly something that warrants further investigation. And for those who still complain about pricing, you can begin to look at some of this data and say, look, I understand that, Mr. Customer, but I can show you that you're paying for 5 apps that do the same thing. I can also highlight that, you say you've got 30 licenses of Asana. I can show you that only 4 people are using that tool on a regular basis, and one of them only goes in every Monday to pull a particular report. So between the SaaS sprawl and duplicate apps and unused licenses, if we can help consolidate some of your SaaS applications and save you some money, would you be willing to put some of those cost savings towards our enhanced Microsoft security program instead? And again, what's funny is Gavin and I have been on a fly on the wall as part of these conversations. They always want to know who's using social media. So again, that's something you can drill into as well. We've got Facebook, Twitter, everything. You can say, look, this person's on Facebook every day or whatnot. But it's always funny to see that, there's people using risky applications for file sharing, or you have 5 apps to do the same thing, but clients are always interested just in who's sitting on social. The other thing I'll show is the Discover Compliance dashboard. So again, this is really interesting for a high-level view of understanding the applications that are in use. Do they have SSO? Do they have MFA? How are they adhering to certain compliance standards, whether it's GDPR or SOC Type 2? Do they have their ISO certifications? And then most importantly, how many users are using those? And when was the last breach? Okay, we know that cybercrimes at an all-time high, breaches are happening on almost a weekly basis, it feels like. And so understanding which applications have been breached is critical. The story I would highlight here is, is around something like, we'll use Canva. We'll pick on Canva as an example. As you as an MSP can go to a client and say, did you know Canva was hacked last week? The client might say, doesn't matter, doesn't bother me. We don't use Canva. Oh, is that so? Because I can actually show you in this report that 3 people are using Canva on a fairly regular basis. I'm also willing to bet that those 3 people are probably using the same corporate email and password for Canva that they use for Microsoft and some of your other business critical applications. And if I hop back into my MFA report, actually one of those people doesn't even have MFA on. So you can begin to follow the breadcrumbs and tell the story to your customers of how quickly those dominoes fall and how a random application getting breached can lead to a significant cyber event for their business.
Yeah, what I find very interesting, so there's no question secure and engage is the sizzle for MSPs to help from a productivity perspective, improving Microsoft security. Discover is very interesting because as a managed service provider, we help our customers manage IT, and our customers are spending more on applications than they are on devices and the network. So the biggest part of IT spend is now at the application layer. That is the rocket fuel for most companies, including your own. And that's where the data is, and that's where the majority of the security issues are emerging. So helping the customer from having a system of record of application usage and helping them make that stack of applications more secure and making sure the employees are using the right approved applications as part of your cybersecurity training that you deliver to your customers is all probably important. And then again, with the new NIS2 standards coming out and with GDPR, it's critical to have a system of record of who is using what application. And if your customers need cybersecurity insurance, then it's also critical that they have a system of record for all applications that are used, as well as Microsoft and Microsoft MFA and policy and posture management. So just something to consider. If I was to crystal ball the managed service space 5 years from now, application security and administration and management is going to be a key part of your practice. And I know MSPs are starting with Microsoft today and building from there. So this slide just indicates we do provide sales and marketing programs for our partners based on the best practices of our partners and what's most successful. So we've got all of that in our Augment Academy available to you. And remember that you can get a trial, a free trial. Try this out. We'll help you do the onboarding, bring in a couple of customers. And then you will get that Microsoft security auditing tool for free, unlimited. If you're a partner or not partner, it's all included in there. And you can see the pricing below on the program. And when you come on board, your first 90 days, if you don't like us, tell us to jump in the lake and we will jump in the lake. So you can cancel in that first 90 days. And then it's a 12-month program. And we are here to be white glove partners and to really help you build your managed security service practice.
Guys, thank you very much. An incredible whistle-stop tour. I give you guys both a break and a chance to grab a glass of water or coffee, or you You might even need something stronger after that performance. I think very, very good. I think if I can make a couple of comments on things that I've just there in relation to the cost, at the numbers that are up there, and I know you talked about $10 for, or $10, €10, £10, 10 whatever, 10 whatever, 10
Hence the
camels.
number, yeah.
Yeah, whatever the currency is. Really important thing is, you guys as an MSP, you determine the prices you sell stuff out at. That's these are just examples, and we've certainly seen examples of MSPs. You know, they can make significant amounts of money in relation to adding on augment into their portfolio and using it as a core part of their business. And a huge part there is also, and I'm sorry, this is just a comment from my side, is also actually adding them to your customers the value to make sure that they're protected better, and ultimately then the risk of them getting attacked or having a breach is much smaller, and therefore you maintain those customers, because if you have a customer who gets breached, you typically lose that customer. And one point that you mentioned there, Gavin, in terms of cyber insurance, we've certainly seen a real drive in this area in the Microsoft security score. If the security score is low, an insurer is not interested in looking at an end customer. And if an end customer says, "Listen, I'm looking for insurance," and comes back to the MSP and said, "Listen, hey, wait, I went and get a quote for insurance," and they came back and said, "Listen, your security scores are too low, so you're not going to get insurance, so I need to change my provider," that impacts your business. But they're just comments from things that and observations we've absolutely seen through the MSPs out there. So putting Augment in there assists you massively. There is a question here which has come in. I have a number of questions in, but do you use AAD and the desktop agents for the discovery?
Yes, for clarity on the Discover module, yes, we have an agent that gets deployed. We have a full support center with guides on how to do that. Most people deploy it through their RMM, that we have all integrations with all the major players. For the Engage and Secure side, we're using the Microsoft Graph API. And again, as Gavin mentioned, the nice thing that we do at Augment is, as part of the 14-day free trial, day one, R1, we will configure and set everything up for you in totality. So we'll set up your NFR licenses, as well as actually roll it out to a couple of your clients. What that means is that you'll have, at the end of that call, a full 14 days and a fully configured environment for you to actually go and test and review and play with Augment. And then the nice thing is that you can obviously roll it out to more clients yourself once we've shown you how to do it. And at the end of that trial, if you are interested in becoming a partner, we just convert that trial environment to your paid instance, so everything remains the same. If you don't, that's okay. As Gavin said, we can go jump in the lake, but you will still get access to that free M365 threat report tool. So whenever you log back into Augment, you'll still have access to generate those reports.
And I see there've been some supplementary questions to that, but I think they've been answered in your answer there, if I'm correct. So well, maybe if we can move on to some of the other questions there, the other ones here. How do we know if our security controls are effective and efficient?
Well, I mean, that's a great question, because the posture report will tell you exactly where it's weak. And we actually pulled a Microsoft verbiage into that report. It was the box with all the words that was hard to read because it's small on the screen, but it actually explains. We pull it out of Microsoft, it explains it, and then it explains how it relates to CIS and NIST2. And then it also tells you, if you improve this, if you fix this, how much it's going to improve your Microsoft security score. So this is like a sock in a box that does a full analysis of each and every policy to understand, okay, if you fix this, you need this type of license. And our system will monitor and do no matter what type of license you have, but the degree of policy that you want to manage is influenced by the license type. So it'll tell you all of that. And this is something you show your customer. So you're not selling the customer security anymore. You're just showing them, giving them the evidence of their environment. Here's what it is. Here are your security policies. Here are the problems. Here are the individuals with the problems. Here's how, if you are meeting your NIST2 or CIS and what impact it has. And here's what you need to do about it. And here's how it's going to improve your security score. So the system tells you, rather than having analysts going through and figuring all of that stuff out, the system just tells you. And as you improve it, your score will improve accordingly. And of course, that will reflect in your audit report, but also in your summary report that you can schedule. So literally across all your customers, you can schedule a security report to go out to every customer every day, week, month, quarter, whatever you like, ad hoc. Take it for a coffee meeting and show them, okay, this is the next project we should be working on. And this is exactly why. I'm not selling you anything. I'm just showing you these are the weaknesses and these are my recommendations.
I love your description of Microsoft verbiage, the little words. There's another word for it I'm trying to think of, but and interpreting what Microsoft say, and indeed, as you both pointed out, Microsoft changed the goalposts all of the time.
All the time.
Yeah, we've absolutely seen that as a challenge for MSPs and MSSPs that we work with, and using Augment would certainly assist that in a huge way, or assist the resolution and the management of it. How can an MSP help their non-technical or uninterested clients wake up to the threats of cybercrime?
Well, so we actually have a presentation for that. And it's really good, and it explains about the threats, how threats are happening, what it costs a bad actor to buy 400,000 usernames and passwords. It's 150 pounds, by the way. 450,000 usernames and passwords. And then they put it in their machine and off they go. So it's not a question in the presentation with the customer. It's not a question of if. It's when somebody in your organization is going to get breached. They're using one of these applications that aren't secure, don't have SSO, MFA, have been breached recently, or Microsoft isn't set up properly. And so the whole point is we can easily eliminate 98 to 99% of the risks by just doing this. And the MSPs who are not doing it today, I know you all want to, and I know all the techs want to, and all the business owners are probably sweating it a little bit because their customers think they're doing it, doing all of this today. So we have a presentation for you you can go and do, but the easiest thing, honestly, is to do the threat report and the posture report and just show them how bad their security scores are, where the problems are happening, who they're happening against, and it'll be one of the business owners in your customer, guaranteed for sure. And then show them all the weak policies and say, Mr. Customer, we have to harden this environment up. And so the way the foolproof way of doing it is you provide the customer with those two reports and you say, this is what we recommend. We do a hardening project. We get this on. We set up the real-time monitoring, alerting, and we'll be able to remediate. And then we'll provide you with monthly reports to show you all the stuff that we've done. And would you like us to do that, Mr. Customer? This is what the premium program looks like. And if the customer says no, then you pull out a waiver and you say, Mr. Customer, you understand you have these weak security policies and postures. I would like you to sign this waiver. I'm leaving you with the report, and you understand that you have these weaknesses. And I am not responsible if you get breached. I have not seen anybody sign that waiver yet. So it's a bit of a tough hand, but if you have a customer who's not prepared to pay for security, you really do have to draw the line. And quite honestly, all of our good MSPs who, if the customer is not prepared to have a stronger security, a proper security program put in place, they should not be a customer because they are a risk to your business.
And that's, I guess that's something that we absolutely see is a lot of the MSPs and MSSPs that we're working with have taken a view that if their clients are not, and their customers are not investing in making sure that their security, as secure as is reasonable, that they are then ultimately going to be breached. And what will happen then is the MSP or MSSP is now going to be involved in a huge resource to try to help that customer, and ultimately will probably lose the customer. So,
and will be blamed for it.
And be blamed. So
also, and so it's, you know, you live in a small community, everybody knows everybody. And, you know, Bob the lawyer just got breached, and Billy the MSP was, you know, the guy who was supposed to be securing it. Wow. So the point is, we're giving you the free tool. It's free to you to go and audit. Our system will auto audit all of your customers for you. So you don't even have to do anything. We will auto import all of anybody who you sell Microsoft licenses to, all the users. It will automatically generate the Microsoft security threat report, and you can go to each one of your customers and say, Mr. Customer, times have changed. The cloud has made the world a lot less secure. We have this new technology. We're able to audit your environment and configure and monitor and manage it proactively. And here's the result of the audit report, and this is what we recommend to you. Some people are afraid to have that conversation. You can't be. You just have to. The world has changed dramatically in the last 3 years. Everybody knows it. Cybersecurity is going crazy. Like the number of breaches that are growing year by year is just stunning. So, you know, we have to take control as managed service providers and managed security service providers.
And I see, well, obviously, one of your slides there earlier, Gavin, I thought the slides were really, really excellent in terms of explaining the challenge and the issue. You talked about streamlining and how people manage it, you know, whether, you know, manual as an option you suggested. Now, my comment, and I wrote it down at the time, this is my comment, you know, I think manual is impossible for two reasons. It's impossible commercially, and it's impossible resource wise. And you know, so it doesn't stack up at the end of the day. So that's purely sort of a comment from my point of view. But I think one of the other things then, when you look at resourcing, and I know George mentioned it, and he probably scared me a little bit when he said even a salesperson could do something. And I'm sure there are some MSPs and MSSPs going, well, hold on, you know, that's taking technology to an extreme. But I'm probably upsetting all the salespeople. I'm a salesperson.
Michael, that's what we're seeing, though, is our partners, because everything is templated and standardized, our partners are using Sally at the front desk or Billy at the front desk, level 1 techs to do stuff that used to be level 2 and level 3 technicians. Also, the platform is granular permission based, which means you can give people access to only what you want them to see and be able to do. So if you co-manage customers, you can actually give the internal IT department person the rights to use, for example, Engage to onboard employees, offboard employees, do password management, do that stuff you don't want to do. That's just time consuming.
Yeah, because the environment is changing, as we all see. The threats are changing. Everything is changing. So you need to have your higher level technicians available to do the hard stuff, and let the rest. So one more question here. Sorry, is shouldn't MSPs already be securing M365 by default? A lot of SMB customers would assume so. How do they have that conversation? Now, I think to some extent you've highlighted that and talked about that anyway. But
yeah, it's a great question, because it's a big roadblock for a lot of MSPs, and you know, honestly, honesty is always the best. It's the best path forward. And it's having the conversation with the customer, and we have a deck for this, but it's really a casual conversation with the 2 audit reports. Mr. Customer, we all know the cloud has taken over with COVID. Everybody's gone remote. IT has completely changed. There is new technology out that is now available to us to help you audit, configure, and manage your cloud services. I've done an audit for you. Here's what we found, and here are the areas that we need to improve, and here's why. And then we'll be able to set up real-time monitoring, remediation, and reporting service on top of that. Does that make sense to you, Mr. Customer? And it's honestly, that's the conversation with the two reports, and just going through the audit report and the posture report with the customer, and the customer, you know, they may think, oh geez, I thought you were doing this for me, but that's okay. You have to have the conversation, because if you address it honestly like that, they'll appreciate that. So okay, I get it. I haven't wanted to spend more money on this before, but now you're showing me for my business why I need to. You're not just selling me, hey, there's all these millions of cybersecurity, I'm a little guy, I don't know, I don't care. Now it's black and white in front of them. This is me, this is my company, this is my environment, these are my weaknesses. I understand I need to correct them. And if he doesn't want to correct them, pull out the waiver, get him to sign the waiver, and he assumes responsibility for those weak security policies.
I'm not quite sure how the waiver is going to work in the Irish market particularly, but we'll worry about that one. That's our challenge. And listen, our MSPs and MSSPs on this session, what I'd like to say is I'm conscious of time and everything else, and really appreciate the interaction. A lot of questions there. I know there's been interaction on the Q&A session as well. But I think one of the things that from my point of view, and I think that we've seen our partners get most benefit out of, is we can arrange for a full demonstration for an MSP to look at how it would work in their environment. I think it's really important. Yeah, the personalization of that and how it actually it operates in a specific individual's environment is huge, because that's when it's really tied to your business. So if you can come back to ourselves in Renaissance, or indeed the Augment team, and you all, I think, will have the context, because I'm conscious of some of the attendees at this session, and those no doubt who will be looking at it online will be are not from Ireland. They'll be somewhere else, but reach out to George or Gavin or myself in Renaissance, and the guys would be delighted to assist in any way, shape, or form. And I would say, look, there is a free Microsoft security audit and reporting tool. I'll get it right. And listen, reach out to us and we can set that up. But I think looking at a demonstration and for your business and for your customers is probably the most effective. And thank everybody for the session.
And if you're in Ireland, please contact Michael and his team at Renaissance. And if you're in the US, Canada, other parts of the world, you can go to augment.com. You can come to me on LinkedIn, Gavin Garbutt. You can see my name there. Happy to help, or George Smith. We're happy to help and set you up any way you like to reach us.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Cheers.